Hi, it's David from Menlo Coaching. Today I'd like to talk about how you can be an informed buyer of MBA admissions consulting services. My remarks here are conditioned on the idea that what you're looking for from a coach is probably a mix of you want to have the best possible chance to get into your target MBA programs, you might like to get a nice financial aid offer based on merit-based aid, and then great coaching, what it can deliver, is a kind of a game plan that as you research your essays and your profile in the schools, you will actually understand what you need to do during the MBA program to achieve your career plans. I actually have a lot of sympathy, a lot of empathy with you that shopping for an MBA admissions consultant is very hard. In this market, you go on any of the kind of largest review sites like Poets and Quants or the GMAT Club. There seem to be hundreds, almost thousands of firms and consultants with perfect 5-star reviews as far as the eye can see. So today what I want to do, I want to lay out several things that probably are not effective for you, and then move on to the questions you really need to be asking. So starting with the reviews, reviews are one of the things that is, in general, not a great way to make your decision. The reason is what I said earlier. Almost everyone has a huge number of positive reviews. Break this down. Different review sites, different things are going on. There are some review sites where usually the identity of the authors are very hard to find. The reviews might look like they're worded in a little bit of a funny way. Some made-up reviews do exist. But when you get to reputable sites like Poets and Quants or the GMAT Club, you can be sure that there's a certain baseline. The people who wrote the review exist because these sites check by making them email in from a business email address, contacting them through their LinkedIn, or in some cases even checking the physical offer letters that they received. So far so good. But the kind of big mystery here, why are there no negative reviews? Now, there's a number of reasons for that, but it boils down to most people don't feel that comfortable talking about a negative experience with MBA admissions consulting. You have to then stand in public and say, well, look at me. Not only did I not get into any MBA program, I wasted $10,000 hiring the wrong consultant. Most people psychologically just don't want to do that. And there's maybe even certain elements to which applicants blame themselves. Because who doesn't have at least one thing in their profile that's weaker? A low GPA, a low test score, one hiccup in your employment. And people feel a certain hesitation to blame a third party when they know that it's a very kind of complicated decision. Then, so if the reviews are not really your best way to find it, one other idea we can debunk right off the bat is the idea of success rates. Now, I have seen firms claiming success rates as high as 75% at the Stanford Graduate School of Business. Stanford, for those of you who don't follow it, the average acceptance rate is around 6%. All I can say about some of these claims, a fool and his money are soon parted. If you believe that someone can deliver a bona fide improvement from 6% to 75% at an institution like that, and they're only going to charge you a low price for it, honestly, you get what you deserve. If it's too good to be true, it probably is. So if reviews and if these kind of success rate claims are not the right way, let's debunk two slightly more subtle factors. So one thing you might notice in the industry is that many MBA admissions consultants are MBA graduates from top programs. And at first, this sounds highly logical. Well, they have an MBA, they must understand the program. And it's true. Having an MBA gives you a certain baseline understanding of what MBA programs are about. But you need to keep digging on this question and, how many MBA graduates do you know who enrolled in an MBA because they had the career goal, I want to be an MBA admissions consultant later? And it's a rhetorical question. I will tell you the answer. Absolutely no one comes in on the front end of this thing with a career goal to be an MBA admissions consultant. For most top MBA graduates who get into MBA admissions consulting, it's driven by lifestyle reasons. So, things I've seen, some people are bootstrapping a startup. They want to make a little bit of cash before their startup gets traction. Other people are maybe want to spend a lot of time with their family. They want a highly flexible job, work from home. And yet other people may actually be holding a full-time corporate job, and bless them, they enjoy mentoring young people, but if they only handle 2 or 3 or 4 applicants a year, they just don't see enough cases to be as knowledgeable as someone who does it full-time. So in short, MBA admissions consulting is not kind of a desired career path. People end up in it for funny reasons that may not really have that much to do with wanting to help you succeed. And lastly, just think about it like this. If you're watching this video, chances are that you're a college graduate. Are you therefore a college admissions expert? The last kind of myth worth debunking is the idea that you need admissions committee experience in order to be an admissions consultant. And again, like the MBA graduate one, there's a certain grain of truth at the core of this. Admissions committee people are actually highly experienced at evaluating MBA applications, and if they're willing to give you their honest feedback on it, they can do a great job of looking at an application, looking at application documents, and telling you yes or no. Is it any good? But the process of evaluating something is very different from the process of building something from scratch. And in the same way that if, suppose you wanted to make a beautiful feature film, you wouldn't ask a film critic, you wouldn't ask Siskel and Ebert to help you shoot your film. You would ask a film director, because the process of making the film is very different than the process of watching it and evaluating it. So again, this is something which, although there's a grain of truth in it, this is not really the right way to look for an MBA admissions consultant. So then, what should you be looking for? There's a few things that we can guide you to. So one action that's a great way to look for an admissions consultant, ask people who you actually know. Your friends, your colleagues are probably going to be willing to give you much more candid feedback than what you're going to find in forums and reviews on the internet. And you want to hear about the experiences of real, named people, not, MBA throwaway 57 at gmatclub.com. And for this reason, this is why at Menlo Coaching we put videos of real former clients under their real names so that you can see people just speaking to the camera, what was their experience, but go through your own personal network. That's a great resource for you. Number two, you need to just look a little bit at the structure of MBA admissions firms and how they're organized, and find one which is organized around the principle of maximizing your chances of admissions. There are in general two kind of models in this industry. On the one hand, there are some large firms with huge numbers of coaches. Back to what we said earlier about MBA grads, many of these coaches are freelancers working from home with their MBAs. And with such a kind of loosely coupled organization, what tends to happen is that the business will put in place a lot of standard operating procedures, templates and documents that every client has to fill out at the start of the process, kind of cookie cutter ways of doing things which enables a certain kind of minimum level of quality control, yet may not be very effective for delivering a great result, because you don't want to go through a standardized process for your MBA admissions in the sense of you don't want to have an application that looks like everyone else. So on the other hand, the other approach is, I can speak for us when I say that we think that one-on-one coaching is one of the most important parts of the process. Your personal story or your career story is not going to just leap out from a long worksheet that you fill in with a lot of your experiences, but it's something that we can arrive at through one-on-one dialogue and asking you a lot of questions. And what's tough about this is that it means you need to have a low client load for each coach So they have the time to have all these conversations with you. So one of the factors that suggests a firm can do a good job for you is that they take a low load of clients for each coach. On average, a full-time coach, depending on their level of experience, may take between 10 and 15 clients in round one at Menlo Coaching and lower in round two because that's a condensed time frame. When I've interviewed job seekers at other firms, I have heard numbers as high as 28 clients in round one, which totally blew me away. I almost fell out of my chair because then you just can't deliver quality coaching when the ratio is so high. If you look at that on any realistic assumptions, that's like about an hour per week per client, and you just cannot do a good service with that amount of time. But the reason that that doesn't really get kind of flushed out of the market is that, back to these reviews we talked about earlier at the beginning of the video, if a coach takes a high enough volume of clients, some may succeed almost in spite of the coaching. And if the coach asks them to post positive reviews and they do so, the coach may still look highly successful, even though across the whole pool of clients a coach served, only a subset got a good outcome and others kind of suffered silently. Besides the kind of client to coach ratio, you can also look at things like, are the coaches full-time employees? And I laugh a little bit sometimes when I say that the fact that Menlo Coaching has an office and that our employees work in the office every day, Monday to Friday, year-round, is a unique selling proposition. But in this industry, actually it is. And you want coaches who are spending their whole year learning how the MBA programs work, attending sessions with schools, whether that's campus visits, meeting schools at fairs, interviewing former clients at schools. People who are committed to do this work just full-time learn more about the schools, and they can bring that knowledge to you. And so these are a few of the things you should keep in mind when you're searching for MBA admissions consultants. So to wrap it up, reviews may be a useful place to read the testimonials and get a few ideas where to start, but you can't rely on those as being comprehensive. Success rates, almost never believable. MBA graduates or admissions officers bring certain things to the table, but are not necessarily the best at helping you create your applications. You need to look for, do the coaches have these fundamental skills like listening to you, helping you write clearly, and helping you tell your story? Are they dedicated full-time year-round? Do they take a reasonable number of clients in each one? And can you find real people that you can speak to who can share their experience candidly with that coach? So, best of luck on finding a coach. Best of luck on your MBA applications. And if you want to learn more about us and what we do, go to menlocoaching.com. Thank you.